It's a lovely good evening and welcome to Ubuntu Channels Zambia, or Ubuntu Channel Zambia. And of course, it's a lovely Tuesday evening. As you know that on a Tuesday evening, always we get to bring to you an exciting program called Debate Time. Of course, very well planned, but due to unforeseen circumstances that are beyond our control, well, internet challenges here and there, and other issues coming in and out, we're unable to have the debate. But however, we decided why not just have a special interview bordering on the same topic that we had scheduled out for the debate. But hey, I am your host, Lansani Bandai, and of course, together with my good four-eyed co-host, Chaza. Good evening and welcome to the program.
Good evening, Lance, and it's good to be here once again. And don't worry, when age catches up with you, just like me, definitely you also join to be four-eyed, you know.
All right, so our dear viewers, this evening we are discussing, do we have freedom of expression in Zambia now? Our guest this evening is none other than the prisoner of conscience, that is also veteran journalist by the name of Derrick Sinjela, who is coming through into the studio to help us discuss this very thing, especially owing to the fact that Derrick Sinjela has served as a journalist from almost all the successive governments that have ruled Mother Zambia. Comrade Sinjela, good evening and welcome to this special interview.
Good evening, and Lance. Grateful to host me.
Well, we are so happy that you are available this particular evening. But anyway, let's get to, of course, kickstart our program and get to talk about our topic of discussion. Is there freedom of expression in Zambia? Though I will allow at least my co-host Chaza to, also come in and probably greet the people and introduce our first question that we have for the evening.
Okay, I was getting worried because I can barely see, Mr. Sinjela there. I would request that you position yourself, properly so that we can have lighting coming onto your face.
Okay, let me just. I'm having challenges. Is this better?
Just the way you were before we started. Yeah, you are getting better now. Yeah.
Is better?
All right. I think you are better now. Yes, you are better now. Again, you've become dark. I don't know what you have done. You were better.
Okay, so you need to move. Yeah, so the light needs to point at you. Anyway, we know that it's an improvisation, but the little, like at least now we can see you, so I think that is okay.
Yes.
Is it?
Yes, indeed. You are better now, so we can kickstart. All right. I guess you are settled now. We can get started. Mr. Sinjela,
yeah,
I think my first question would actually, be that who is Mr. Derrick Sinjela? Because I've seen Lance has actually, briefly talked about you and indicated you've been around as a journalist. Let's get to have an insight about yourself. Tell us about yourself, Mr. Sinjela.
Well, I'm just a humble citizen of Zambia, and I just say that I'm a journalist by profession, and I've worked for many newspapers. I started out attachment to the Times of Zambia. From the Times of Zambia, I went to National Mirror, where I had a full-time job, first as a stringer, then later I worked at the National Mirror as a photojournalist for a couple of years, about half a decade. Then I later on, after the Mirror went down, where I started stringing for several publications, the Weekly Angel, Guardian Weekly, Monitor and Digest, and the health news magazine. And then at that time I was swinging for about 3 or 4 publications in a day. So I'd wake up in the morning and go to the first office, go to the second office, go to the third and fourth office. Yeah, that's how I've been working as a journalist. Then I later on got involved in The Advocate. There was a publication run by Media Institute of Southern Africa, Zambia chapter, which used to be called The Advocate. And now, at the time when the publication was headed by a former Zambian envoy to Germany, is it Germany or yeah, Germany, Anthony Mukwita. There was an outcry that how can a media institution run a publication? So that outcry led to members of media allowed express willingness, and I and several colleagues who included the Lucky Chula, we managed to get hold of that publication with the help of Sipo Kapumba and Pani Ochembo, who was then the national director at Mr. Zambia. But after some time, again, you know, there was some squabbling over control. Then we moved out. It couldn't thrive. Then that's when Mr. Chembo told me, it's easy. Why are you quarreling with these people? Just go and establish your own platform. Then when he showed me what to do, I found that it was just like a knife slicing, a hot knife slicing into butter. That we established a Rainbow newspaper on Monday, 25th June 2007. And then our first landlord was the current media network for child rights and development, Henry Kawe. We were squatting. We were given at the desk on Kulima Tower building on the 12th floor, and the room number was room number 12. So we used to squat using Henry Kawe's facilities, the computers and everything. So that's how we began. And by then, coming up to the theme, our team decided to say, let's be Christian as promoting diversity in news coverage, because the rainbow is different colors but one people. So that's how come we registered it as that, as a theme. But later, now, this year, we somehow are trying to now say that moving from promoting diversity in news coverage to unraveling the truth. So we've been migrated, we not migrated, but under the new leadership of my colleague, managing editor Davis Mataka, we are trying to come up with, we are using now unraveling the truth. That's about Sinjela. But aside from the rainbow, this gentleman has also been involved in publication called Kwilanzi News Zambia. Some of the people have not gotten permission from them to name them as part of it. Yeah. So, Kwilanzi News Zambia is basically Kwilanzi. It's a Mambwe term. I'm Mambwe. So, Kwilanzi is the Northern Circuit. So, the goal is to promote the Northern Circuit as a tourist destination. If you followed the debate in Zambia about the development of hospitality industry, you will hear that people say that we have focused so much on Livingstone as a tourist capital of Zambia. yet in the northern province, in Wapula, and now Muchinga, there are 10 waterfalls in that area. In a small area, you can package 10 waterfalls in one hospitality sale. Yes, so that's how come we came up with it. What our graphic designers coined a phrase saying that KNZ, he shortened it, Kulanzi News Zambia to KNZ. So KNZ, our goal is to turn Zambia into the hospitality destination of choice in the world.
Oh, Comrade Sinjela, you are an encyclopedia, and we may sit 40 minutes here just listening to what you've been involved or what you are doing. Let's quickly get into the topic of discussion. Do we now have freedom of expression in Zambia? Obviously, this has to culminate from some assertions that previously there wasn't freedom of expression. Or simply put, let's start from what is this freedom of expression? Is it stipulated for in the highest law of the land?
Well, it's a good question. And also, which has two facets. The first facet is that, in fact, three facets. The first facet is that we have the Constitution in Article 20, which guarantees freedom of expression. But again, there are wide clauses in the Constitution which emanate from the colonial days, and they tend to negate these positive pronouncements that are contained in our Republican Constitution. We have days we have been calling for the repeal of certain clauses, like the clause on sedition, the clause on defamation of the president. Yeah, we find that the clause on false publication or banning of publications that are deemed to be false, carrying false. In here, I can cite one of the publication which was declared as a false publication. It was described as being anti-establishment, and we find that the Chiluba government then, under the MMD, they banned the publication of a Post newspaper, which was carrying a story about comparing the prowess or which country is stronger in terms of military between Zambia and Angola. So that particular publication was banned, that anyone who is found in possession, even as at now, that person will be deemed to have crossed the line. So there are several facets. The other facet is that facet of what we would call the new dawn, where the new dawn has like allowed for that enjoyment of the what? Freedom of expression. But unfortunately, I see that there is a which is coined by this same gentleman who is here, which is the deliberate financial handicapping of the media. The media is the handicap. The media is at the mercy of the private and public based money. The media is weak now. So if the media is weak, it can't thrive. Then it can't function. It can't go out and send its journalists to go and find the truth. And John 8:32 is talking about the truth. That only the truth will set us free. So as citizens, we cannot access the truth because citizens cannot be taught the truth about any issue. You can see even recently, there was this issue of Ethiopians who died somewhere and dumped in Minimum. They can't be, no journalist has done a thorough story on it. So it is like the same cancer of journalism in Zambia, not having follow-up stories, because the media are inhibited by resources. They're not mobile enough. There is no money, and media are limping. So media are waiting for a scheduled announcement. So we are waiting again for another update by the Zambia Police Force, Remi Kajova, or my good friend Reima Hamonga, the time when he will give an update. That's when we will come to know about whether or not there is progress made in terms of that particular item that I alluded to, the Ethiopians. So that's saying that the resources are what are inhibiting the media from taking advantage of the gentleman environment, the good gentleman environment created by the gentleman I call HSH7, who is Hakainde Sami Hichilema, the 7th president of the Republic of Zambia. You are saying that I'm in the encyclopedia of information. No, it's because I just go one time. Hari Kalavameti is the one who awakened me to this type of thinking, because he said, you know, Sinjela, why you work for me? It's because I work for you. So I've been, even Kanisha's banda, he told the Fuman Mukove Kwendai, Atimawene Sinjela, the more shishita. You do this, you understand? So now Stephen Akushishita. That's why you find that I'm always on top of the game in terms of journalism. And you find that today HH has clocked 488 days in power, and is remaining with only 1,339 days to go to the next elections, when Zambians are going to evaluate him on whether or not he has delivered on his promises. So we need to help the president succeed. We should not help the president fail, because if the president fails, even ourselves will fail. I'm not saying that as a praise singer, no, but I'm just saying that the bigger picture is that if in the next 1,339 days, HH does not deliver on his electoral promise of freedom of expression, on empowerment, on other facets, you find that even freedom of expression won't succeed. You do know why people do not enjoy freedom of expression. One of the challenges, they have no money, like I said, alluded to over the media, even at individual level. If you are poor, you are dispossessed, you are vulnerable, then you look at a politician as the Father Christmas or Mother Christmas, if there is such a term, because then your survival instinct, you are dehumanized by poverty. Poverty dehumanizes. So the only way we can all do, or we can all beg, is that there is need for the president to ensure that he fights head on the three challenges that are making people fail to 3 or 4 challenges: the legal reform, and the 3 other elephants in the room, which Lance is already, even you, Chaza, you're already more aware than I, that the challenges, even to the HH presidents, HH's president, number 1 enemy is not the PF, is not the Comrade Fred Membe, is not the IMF. No, his biggest 3 enemies, which will make him fail to run Zambia, is high poverty, high income inequality, and the high unemployment. So once these three are looked onto, then you can say that Zambians can express themselves. Can you express yourself on an empty stomach? Can you express yourself if you don't have money in your pocket? Can you express yourself if, expression, we're just looking at it from a point of view of maybe listening to Mampi or listening to your maps? No. But we're talking about free expression, genuine free expression. Unless somebody has access to a steady income. Already yesterday there was the release of the Jesuit Center for Theological Reflection, Basic Needs and Nutrition Basket for November. It has risen by 29 for 42 ngwe for November, meaning that Zambians have to look for an extra money for them to feed their family. So unless when people are empowered, you ameliorate poverty, you ease vulnerability. That's when you empower citizens. That's when you can say they are in an environment where they can express themselves. Because now, Zambians cannot exhibit their full potentials. Even ourselves, you, the two hosts, and the technical team. Your potential will only manifest when the President Ubuntu, Zambia, becoming a fully fledged television station. How can it be? It's by it if it is given access to an environment that is conducive for it to thrive. If you are going to get any type of financial support, technical support, equipment, etc., etc. That's my view on this issue. It's neither it's an of expression can only be resolved when you address the teething financial handicap of mainstream media. The Times of Zambia is looked at as an orphan child. It's on the verge of being closed. You understand? So the government is seemingly putting more emphasis on the Daily Mail, putting more emphasis on Zambia National Broadcasting Services or Corporation, putting more emphasis on probably NIS, but you find that the people that are supposed to be supported mostly in the media, it's mainstream media. Print media is dying in Zambia. Even news diggers, you call about the mass newspaper, the Monitor and the New Vision. We are all limping because we have no support. We have no advertising. We can never reinvent the wheel unless the media is given capacity. Somebody was telling me that in Sweden or in Norway, it's mandatory for the government to support private media so that you can then consolidate and entrench freedom of expression. Some of us, we don't believe that freedom of expression is just where you have access to internet and you are just posting irrelevant materials. No, it's where you have people like you, people from mainstream media, are empowered to to flood social media with accurate information that has been verified and information that has passed through a lot of gatekeepers. Not where you have people just sharing any falsehood, etc. So I'm saying that the challenge we have, the teething challenge we have, are finances. Sometimes even what you call apartheid or segregation. Sometimes when that they are influenced, like even in Zambia, they are seemingly some form of segregation, and they use the pricing structure to segregate. So they will use, you find you can at East Park Mall, the cost of what Fanta, the cost of Coca-Cola, the cost of a cup of tea is 30 kwacha. How many Zambians can go there and afford Coca-Cola? Even in hotels, you find that the costs associated with people accessing the food space. Because if you cannot access such premises, you cannot share information with your people. How are you going to claim that there is freedom of expression? Yes, it's there. HH has provided that environment, but it's not entrenched. Is that if HH moves out of the state house, then even the freedom of expression that we are seemingly enjoying, we also move out of our hands. So that's why we're saying that earlier when I talked about the Article 20 of the Republican Constitution, which guarantees a press freedom to us. That's why I'm saying that we need these laws that negate the enjoyment of these freedoms to be removed. They are positives anyway. We have seen that the cabinet has approved to repeal the law on defamation of a president, to completely repeal it. But again, we need to see the Minister of Justice, Mulambo Haimbe, expediting the process of working hand in hand with the leader of the House, who is Witna Kapemba Mutarina Lumango, the Vice President, to ensure that they table that aspect of law repeal, so that Zambians can breathe a sigh of relief in terms of freedom of expression. It was a mouthful, so you can ask a question.
All right, thank you so much. My internet was playing hide and seek, but anyway, as much as it was playing hide and seek, I think I collected a few things that you mentioned. Now, you spoke about facets that somehow impede the freedom of expression that we can be talking about. And of course, the famous article is the same one of the defamation of the president. Also, you spoke about a limitation of a media house to publish information that is deemed to be seditious or not for public consumption. How do you think such can be dealt with if truly we are fully to experience the freedom of expression? And then, as we also talk about the freedom of expression, what are the limitations of this freedom?
Well, the limitation that now journalists are very conscious of the cited the pieces of legislation that the information of the president, the publication of false information or banning. So journalists now we exercise what we call personal restraint, self-censorship. So journalists do not want to fall in the in the dish or in the what do we term as the challenges of the trade or the personal hazards of being jailed by publishing any material that seems to have crossed the line. So in order to avoid such, people have resorted to just probably just being republishing what the president has said, republishing what the president has said, printing headlines that are dead. You understand? Now in the social media era, people just go to the president's page, they play it safe. They just publish certain bits in. Instead of sending a reporter to go and interview the president or carry a story, they have a reporter there even now in Washington. But you'll be surprised that they will not be quoting that reporter. The reporter will not be sending stories to them. They will be, the majority of the stories will be quoting the president's Facebook page. But you've sent a journalist at West Coast to the US, to Washington. But you're not relying on that person. In order to play it safe, you have to resort to quoting the president's Facebook page. The Minister of Science and Technology or the Defense Minister, they all have Facebook pages. So journalists have resorted to playing safe by using those as sources of information. So tied with also the cost of the fact that now it's very expensive for people to send journalists, let's say Wambwa in Lusaka today. I, as vendor newspaper, we have no resources to send journalists to go and check what is happening in other parts of the country. Even Pan-African Radio cannot send journalists to go and cover the story in Makeni. Understand? Even Hot FM, they cannot send the journalists at short notice to go and cover a story in Solowezi because of the limited factors that are related to the financial constraints. As I'm saying that there are two fronts in which you can confront it. Foremost, in the short term, and most immediate, to increase, to encourage people to advertise on no media frontiers, to advertise on print media, to advertise on the two wings of electronic media, which are television and radio. You bear with my thinking. It's because, you see, we have now ministries that citizens don't know. Even myself, I'm struggling to know, for example, what is his job description? Which ministries does Mutati look? Which departments of the technology and science or science and technology does he look after? Victor is in charge of. Is in charge of probably you find him officiating at Airtel. He's also in charge of probably again radio. Understand? Victor radio. There's a independent broadcasting authority, which falls under the Ministry of Information and Media. Now we find that these two, for Mutati act on information submitted by Zika, saying that they want to probably penalize station 8.5. The media are not aware as to who is their boss. That's why we were saying that there was need for, although I can officially write to HH, but I can even use this same strategy. There's need for President HH to harmonize the ministries, like Ministry of Technology and Ministry of Information and Broadcasting, so that we can also harmonize or amalgamate the Zika and IBA. You know, for a TV station or for Ubuntu channel Zambia, you have to get 20,000 kwacha for a frequency channel from Zika. And you have to get a broadcasting license at 20,000 kwacha annually again from IBA. So this cost, it also comes up to a cost, 40,000 kwacha. So you need to give Mutati and my sister Chushika, you two lads, 40,000 kwacha annually for you to remain broadcasting. Least they will penalize you one day. Least when you host a Katakarasi guest on this platform. So they will penalize you, you go to jail because you have abrogated. That's what I'm saying. There's need for sensitization. Aside from harmonization, we need to sensitize the people. sensitize the secondly, even the ministries of lands and natural resources, Ministry of Ministry of Green Economy and Environment. Where do they draw the lines? They need to come on Ubuntu channel, so needs to come on this channel to explain what are his terms of reference. What does he do? What does the ministry do? So they need to buy space. There's a lot of money for communication purposes. You cannot start an initiative without paying or publicizing what you do. Lance and Chaza, how are you going to, do you know what Nzovu does? The Collins Nzovu, the Minister of Climate and Environment. What is his terms of reference? Do you know what the Small Enterprises Minister does? Is it not just the Department of Commerce and Trade and Industry? Why not just join them together? Why not like even combine, for example,
Comrade Derrick,
fisheries, Minister of Agriculture, Minister of Fisheries and Livestock, and Water Affairs? Why not build one and save them for building or communication purposes? So then, because there's duplication, you cannot have Ministry of Agriculture on its own,
Sinjela,
Fisheries and Livestock on its own. No, there is need for them.
Comrade.
Yes, I'm listening.
Okay, quickly, I would like you to address this issue. Obviously, defamation is not only, or the defamation law is not only on the president. It's also on an individual who feels as if they've been defamed. A perfect example is that of a journalist writing a story, let's say, for example, about a certain lands who the police are investigating, and then a journalist, maybe not being overzealous, but without knowing, says, reports to say, so there's a land Sani Banda, without putting the address, like the house number of this land Sani, without even looking, putting at the age, complexion, and all those details that are needed in a report to identify a person. And then they just go and publish it. Oh, Lance Sani Banda has been jailed for 5 years. And then me as Lance, or another Lance that might be out there, because this journalist hasn't stated out facts or hasn't stated out details about this Lance who has been jailed, I can easily sue this journalist for defamation because he has defamed, or he or she has defamed my name. So how, kindly explain the difference between the defamation issue and freedom of expression in a context of a journalist reporting a story which is genuine and not defamatory, but because of lack of details, it becomes a defamation.
Well, the difference is simple. It's because today, in present-day Zambia, once a journalist is on the field, even at Mulongoshi, he will just do the story and send it without cross-checking the facts. So, ordinarily, if it was Chaza and the Lance as editors, you would be able to act as gatekeepers and not pass that story. But now, we have a journalist who is also tasked with being the final say in terms of airing of a story. Because newsrooms have become leaner and leaner, and because they cannot attract competent people. So we find that there is no scrutiny, greater scrutiny of stories. So that's how come we find that stories are half-baked, because such a story cannot even pass, because you need to be specific as to what it is, who is the person, who has, so that you must describe the culprit in detail, because the court stories normally or stories to do with the defamation need thorough scrutiny before they can be aired. But now there is this tendency which is been entrenched by poverty of the media, where the media are not able to attract qualified personnel, so they do not have the resources to counter-check the facts. So, and they are lean staff. So a journalist wants to feel obligated. So as long as he or she has 5 stories, they will go with the stories that are half page, because she just wants to do work without the many people are working without supervisors. Many people are working without the supervisors who are called in media circles as gatekeepers. So they tend to have these loopholes which are lacking, which are widening, and they cannot be sealed by having gatekeepers who are sub editors or proofreaders. Because the proofreader would have read through that, would have noticed a lapse on the part of a journalist that did a story where the culprit is generalized. So when you're doing court reporting or reporting on such stories, that element of a media house or a journalist not falling prey to being seen to have crossed the line in terms of ethics would be controlled if there was scrutiny by proof by what? By a superior who's got a gatekeeper. But like I said, time without number now on this platform, find that the media houses are not able to attract experienced manpower, or and they are to do situation by that even newspapers that I cannot mention here, sub-editors or proofreaders have been phased out. They are no longer proofreaders in Zambia. So in the past, a proofreader would be able to notice that this story, he would be able to close that this story is not complete. But now, sub-editors, let's say Lance is doing page 2, then Chaza is doing designing page 4. So you share, you swap those pages and you proofread. Understand? So you have many other pages you are doing, so you swap with other people. The other people swap the pages to proofread. So like that, the element of vulnerability to legal suits are heightened because a newsroom has got no database on which they can cross-check facts. Normally, you find that even the numbers of the lawyers handling the case would help if you had access to a lawyer and such stories must never be rushed. But there's this ego among journalists to try and be the first one to break the story. So they will want to scoop. We call it in the old language a scoop. So in trying to scoop, we end up plunging a publication or a news station into bankruptcy because of a legal suit. So as I'm saying that there's need to be for us to media houses to be resourceful in both equipment, manpower, and the liquid money. Because when I was looking at the Times of Zambia, my chief reporter then was Davis Mataka. He had what do you call Makamba bonds, cash on hand. Petty cash. How many newspapers now have petty cash that are handled by a chief reporter? So that a chief reporter can send a senior reporter to go and maybe on the ground and actually verify information brought to the radio station or a TV station or a newspaper before you air the story? How many? How many news editors are mobile? By then, our chief reporter was mobile. He was mobile, and he would just cross-check the data you brought. Understand? So, but now, I, as the news editor of the Rainbow newspaper, I do not have a car. I walk from point A to point B. Can I cross-check? Do I have abilities to go? By the time I reach the courts, they have knocked off. And you last buy the copy of the Rainbow newspaper in the morning. So I go, I have to choose either to go with a blank application or to publish stale news or injurious news. So that's one facet. The second facet on which you had mentioned is about the government walking the talk, pushing the government to walk the talk on the now which has become a cliche, the access to information
bill,
law reform, which is interpreted by politicians as giving a license to kill to a journalist. That's how come there have been this back and forth advances. You find that even me, I laugh sometimes. Find that even Mutale Nalomango, the vice president, she was Minister of Information in the year 2005. You are aware? And she asked for time then, for more time to study the same piece of legislation. That was 17 good years ago when she served as Zambia's perhaps first or so first female minister of information. And information. She was asking for time. 17 years later, she's vice president. She's again saying that she wants more time to study the same. So I wonder, these people, are they made from the same cloth as the
Comrade Sinjela?
I don't know how people change. Why should they change the goalpost? So one of the reasons why the PF lost is the same aspect. The ball was hit in Edgar Chagwalungu's court at his last as the first president in power who officiated at the World Press Freedom Day at the Freedom Statue. And the president was misled by $1 Syria and my good friend Amos Marupenga, not to heed to the call for the access to information to be tabled in Parliament and passed into law. Because that one, by now, it would even be helping PF. Now PF are crying for space. They can't even find space on ZNBC. Understand? Because of the same adults. They are now running to MTV. They are now running to Ubuntu Channel, Zambia, where they were shunning people they were inhibiting to access. Professor, I'm saying that there is need for the transparency or for Zambia first. We should put Zambia first in terms of reform, so that then, if we put Zambia first, that law, once the environment, it will not only benefit a journalist, it will benefit a citizen. Because now, even without
Comrade Sinjela, well, sorry, I have to cut you short. Time is not really our best ally. Let's get your closing remarks. What would you love to see change?
Well, I'd like to see HH walk the talk in the next 1,339 days that this access to information law and the laws that negate the Article 20 of the Republican Constitution, which guarantees our freedom of expression, are removed the hurdles. The Public Order Act, the ACEC 1955 Public Order Act, must actually be repealed and thrown into the dustbin of history. That would be what I would say, that Hichilema, Hakainde Sami Hichilema, the 7th president of the Republic of Zambia, must walk the talk by ensuring that he delivers on his campaign promise. And by the way, why do I have this confidence? Hichilema served as Media Trust Fund chairperson for, if you were at school then, Lance and Chaza. He was Media Trust Fund chairperson. There was a fund that was given by the donor community, which used to give media houses, especially print media, money to publish or set up newspapers, and radio stations, set up radio stations, set up TV stations. So that's what gives me confidence that he is going to, and again, I cannot be shy to say that the Rainbow newspaper contributed to HH coming into power. But now, like Donald Trump will say, quid pro quo. It is now time for HH to scratch my back and say, Mana Sinjela, get to State House. Now, because I gave him a benefit of some doubt. So now HH must, yes, we must tell him that you must give Ubuntu money. There are people who have been given money by authorities. I can't mention them here. There are people who have been given, even now as I'm talking, people, your friends are in Washington, journalists. Even my brother is going to Washington to cover this event. But they've given it to Kwitu FM. But I think don't just limit it to Kwitu FM, these privileges. Even Sani, the modern day Solomon, Chaza, they all want to go to the US to experience, because we are citizens. We are representing Zambians. So don't be shy about asking what belongs to you. There must be no discrimination in terms of distributing these opportunities that lie ahead. They must give development for Zambia to develop, for Zambia to experience an environment of free expression. Individuals like you, brilliant chaps, must be given money, must be empowered, physical money, liquid money, not to my 40,000 at constituency. Thank
you so much.
Is sufficient for a media house like you. It's nothing. It's a drop in the ocean. We want real money given to people like you, individuals. So that then you employ Zambians, because the public sector can only employ as much, but the majority of the people must be employed by private gentlemen like Lance and Chaza. Don't be shy about it.
Thank you so much, Comrade Sinjela. We really appreciate your time, and always we'll be knocking on your doors to make sure that you come through, especially on media reforms. I think the next topic that we'll be able to cater with you is the issue of the lifeline of the media in Zambia. We will need to catch on that and see what we can benefit from there. So Lawrence comes through and says, where do we distinguish freedom of expression from defamation? You may have an opinion that, okay, scratch my back. Comrade Derrick.
Look at this discrimination. You allow even a person with a grade 12 certificate to vote for a president, but when it comes to working as a sweeper, you say you can only work as a sweeper if you have a grade 12 certificate. You can only work as a soldier if you have a grade 12 certificate. You can only become an MP if you have a grade 12 certificate. But the illiterate Zambians are the ones who vote the same so-called university graduates.
Thank you, Derrick.
It's a travesty of justice. Must be fought.
We will invite you again and speak on these issues. Time is not our best ally.
Break the thinking box. Don't think. We should break Ubuntu. It's about people. People channels. So people channels Zambia must represent the interests of the Zambian people. Tell the president the truth that discriminatory clause in the constitution, which only allows people with grade 12 certificate to apply as MPs or as councillors, is discriminatory. And again, even the people like NGOCC must be the ones who must be in the forefront to fight against such draconian clauses, which are unconstitutional.
Thank you, Comrade Derrick. Thank you so much. Chaza, thank you so much too for being part of the program. Unfortunately, due to internet, we had to lose some and gain some. To our followers, thank you so much for following the program. We really appreciate you, and we implore you to continue supporting us and watching this particular channel. Help us grow so that we can be a channel of choice. And of course, another thanks goes out to our producer talking about Emmanuel Nkunika, as well as CJ. Thank you so much, and we say have a blessed evening.